So that was the G major scale, starting on M, switching to I, so M, I, M, I, M, I. Played in the prescribed rhythm, crotchet, quaver, 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 crotchet, and so on. Some scales will include just crotchets or all quavers, so just watch out for that in the music. The metronome marking, crotchet equals 48, so slightly slower than 1 beat per second. I would advise using a metronome on a mobile phone app or something. Always have that as a reference. But in general, in an exam, as long as you wouldn't always reference a metronome when you're in an exam, so as long as you're in the ballpark of somewhere that sounds fairly relaxed, not too fast, and something that makes you sound reasonably confident. So, for instance, you don't have to start rushing and go and mess it up somehow. You really want to take your time. So, for instance, an examiner may say, play a G major scale, tirando, MI. So there, when I received the instruction, if you imagine that the examiner gave me that instruction, I would just pause very slightly and just think about what I'm doing. So I'd be thinking, right, start M, not too fast, keep everything under control. So keeping a level head during an exam will get you extra marks. Basically shows you're competent and you're in control. The worst thing is just being nervous and maybe you've concentrated more on the pieces. So and you can take your time. So when it comes to the tempo being slightly more relaxed, if you need to do that to sound more confident, it's not going to destroy your performance, if you're just really nice and relaxed and just in control. There are marks to be won and lost in an exam, so it's important to remember that where you can pick up marks aren't going to be playing a scale really fast and being really flashy. You'll get marks for just appearing confident and appearing in control. So when it comes to the IM, you've got two choices: tirando, in other words, a free stroke, or the rest stroke, which in this instance is plucking the string, coming to rest on the next string. So if you're playing the G string, you're following through and you should touch the next string. And you only need to touch it very lightly, but it's a completely different stroke from tirando. That's tirando. Apoyando. Now, in times gone past, like in the 1950s, 1960s, the construction of the string actually made playing apoyando more important than it is these days. And the string construction's so good now that when I change from tirando to apoyando, there's very little difference in tone. It's only when you start playing at extra volume. So there are no volume markings, dynamic markings in the music. I mean, sometimes there may be a crescendo or something, in a passage of music, but in general, scales should be played at a medium volume, and you'll have to decide for yourself what's medium to you. So if I was playing tirando, I would just try to play with a nice enough sound that would make enough of an echo around the room so the instrument becomes part of the room. The same with apoyando. So therefore volume will, your nails, or if you have nails, if you don't have nails, the tone production that you're making is going to be a factor in all of this. So, make sure your nails are polished, shaped, and the rest of it if you have nails. But the most important thing is, if you are using any of your nail, make sure they're smooth anywhere. So if you're using more flesh than nail, so you're trying to create a good tone and a positive tempo. I'll play it once more with just apoyando. Tirando. Now in the music, you have an option to be able to play the notes on the 3rd fret with your little finger. Now this direction is intended for younger guitarists with small fingers, small hand, so not so big a stretch. So an adult usually for the 3rd fret in first position would be playing with the ring finger when it comes to the 3rd fret. But in the music, in the grade music, you'll see for grade 1 they expect younger players to be playing this. So there I'm using my little finger, and then so it's the same there. You can use your little finger. So that's an instance where you want to just make sure your fingers are comfortable, and just go through your usual checklist of technique things. Make sure you've got a good support with the thumb, make sure the fingers are pointing at the fretboard, and your posture's nice and relaxed. You can be sitting with the guitar in the right position. Just go through all the usual kind of postural and technique type things before you start. So just try and get into good habits is the best advice really from your practice into actually the performance or the examination of the scales and arpeggios. So that was the G major scale, and we'll be moving on to one of the other scales next.